Moors Order of the Round Table, Ontario Territory, and Moorish Divine and National Movement, Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish Folk Temple of Science, Temple number 10, Subordinate Temple number 5.
Oh.
We're just a little background of the Moors Order of the Round Table. It's a Moorish nation institution which came into existence through active research and study of the works and teachings of Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali, Noble Drew Ali, and evolved out of ongoing history and culture classes which were held in a consistent and expanding basis by Brother Taj Tariq Bey. So majority of us know Taj, you know what I mean, and the level of information that he brings. So it's basically following the pattern of those individuals that are part of this movement that are actually doing something so that the movement could progress. Because since Noble Drew Ali left the forum, the movement's been on a decline. And then it's pretty much based on the works that brothers like Taj and other more scholars are doing, that you see on YouTube and all that. All those people, it's they're putting the information out that has Noble Drew Ali like up front again. Because he was supposed to be buried under black history, basically. He was supposed to not exist in the minds of the people. So, like as we go through the information, that's why we have like dictionaries here and stuff like that, because the objective is to clear up our misconceptions so that we can have a starting point, so we can move forward. Because we've never cleaned up anything as far as when we look at other nations. They would have a situation and those people as a people, they band together, come together, whatever it is, and they heal themselves. And then we've never done that. You know, they're gonna say how many years of slavery happened and all these atrocities that happened to people of color. This is what they say, right? And the people of color are being mistreated and abused, and they have no way of getting any type of compensation for what's happened to them, right? And it's an ongoing thing, perpetual damage, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, socially, economically, on every level. So when we say that we're presenting this information, don't think that it's ours, like we're the Moors and we have this information that we're giving to you because we're over here in a corner, like the secret societies are in a corner and the NAACP's in a corner and the NOI's in a corner and WAPI's in a corner, and they don't have any unity amongst each other. But all of them are basically saying the same thing. Like, this is not what this is. This is giving you information about yourself that only Moors could give you. That's why we're the ones that's doing this class, and nobody else is doing a Moors class to teach you the history of the Moors. And we know about the black people and the Phoenicians and the Carthaginians. We know about all those guys already. But nobody ever talks about the Moors. And when they do talk about the Moors, they talk about it in a third-party perspective. They talk about it in a negative way, claiming that we conquered these people and we conquered that people. They always point at the pale Arab and say that he's a Moor because he calls himself an Arab, right? And they jump around that term, Moor. They jump around it. They make it obvious that they don't want to deal with that. So it's it's for you to take what is being presented to you and do something with it. This is what we can do. This is what I can do with the information that was presented to me by brothers like Taj and these people. We can connect with some people who have a store, and we can have classes and do the same thing that they're doing. Because there's obviously an objective to Noble Drew Ali and what he brought for the people, right? The Roundtable is a civic organization of national indigenous Moors, not to be confused with nor mistaken as a religious group or organization. We are a civilly active part of the indigenous Moorish nations. We treat the science of government. Our civic activity is a national sovereign birthright. We encourage the reformation of all indigenous peoples and encourage them to proclaim their nationality and their birthrights, honoring their own mothers and fathers. Just as other civilized nations support and establish institutions to serve and preserve their posterity, we recognize that Moorish families and children need institutions to serve and preserve the Moorish nation. We work towards those ends. We make a public declaration of our Moorish Moroccan nationality and birthrights. We are the true inheritors of the North Gate. We honor our mothers and our fathers. Do your part in helping to uplift fallen humanity. Peace on earth, recognition by the nations of the earth, and peace with self are the prizes. Freedom is everybody's job. So again, we're not doing this just because we have nothing to do on a Tuesday. So we're just gonna come to a class. We're doing this because we notice that something's wrong out there. There's something crazy going on outside that I don't want nothing to do with, but we have no choice but to deal with it. Because everything outside of ourselves is corporate. And we have to deal with things on that level. Right? So we know who these guys are. Just as far as their name. Like who are these two people?
Marcus Garvey.
And then who else?
Robert.
Right? So one of them's a little Bow Wow, and one of them's Marcus Garvey. Right? This is just to show that we know these people. We know what rappers, that's how rappers dress and all that stuff. So, right? We know that that's Marcus Garvey as far as the persona. Who's these two people?
Harriet Tubman.
Harriet Tubman
And Obama.
and Obama. We know those people.
Lincoln. And Will Smith.
What about these two?
That's it.
Oprah and Elijah Muhammad.
Now, another thing too is that these classes are specifically designed for us to have to deal with each other. So the fact that we have to deal with each other, the reason why we're doing things from a Moorish perspective, so we can see this as family. Like, this is not some guy having a class and then some people came in to hear some information. Like, you're actually being given your birthright back. That's yours, that you didn't know about. But you're not coming here for us to give you something. Like, you had something that you didn't know that you had. And some people are not going to take this on a serious level. And that's cool, that's no problem. There's a place for you in this. And then some people are going to be headstrong and want to do something tomorrow. And that's good. Because we have a place for you too. And we have a place for everybody else in between. So don't think that the superior side of the information is on this side and there's nothing on that side. Everything's on that side. We're presented to tap things in you. We're not presented to teach or to educate. Education comes from within. So if we want to get educated and we're expecting to get something from outside of ourselves, we already dumbed ourselves down. We didn't even get into any words, no dictionaries, or nothing yet. And that's how low that they have us. That we know all these people. Jay-Z and Lil Wayne and who's getting married tomorrow and who just got married, and we know. We know about all that stuff. We know about all the freedom fighters and all the people who died for our sins and all the crucified saviors and all that. Right? Now, a lot of this is just going to be putting out information, and as we're putting out information, we're basically going to piece together things to show that everybody knows about morals. And it's only black, Negro, colored, African, Canadian, Trinidadian, Jamaican, etc. people that don't want to know about morals. Everybody else in the world has no problem with morals, and they're willing to say, yo, that's a moral, and point at an individual that suits the description of what a Moor is. Right? So this is a letter from George Washington to Muhammad ibn Abdullah, Sultan of Morocco, December 1st, 1789. Right? So this is a letter from George Washington. Like George Washington's writing this letter to the Sultan of Morocco. And this is in 1789. Islam, bro.
Islam.
Great and magnanimous friend, since the date of the letter which the late Congress, by their president, addressed to your Imperial Majesty, the United States of America have thought proper to change their government and institute a new one, agreeable to the Constitution, of which I have the honor herewith to enclose a copy. The time necessarily employed in the arduous task and the disarrangements occasioned by so great through peaceful a revolution will apologize and account for your Majesty's not having received those regularly advised marks of attention from the United States, which the friendship and magnanimity of your conduct toward them afforded reason to expect. So in the first paragraph, George Washington basically let everybody know that he wasn't the first president, because he's talking about this letter signed by the late Congress and by their president. And this is in 1789, before he supposedly became president. So if they're letting, if he's writing this down, but then they're gonna never show you a picture of him, but they'll show you a painting of him claiming to be the first president. They'll never show you a picture of him, right? Like a picture, an actual picture of the individual, the man. But when they show you paintings, they always say that he's the first president, when he's admitted in this letter that there was a president before him in the late Congress.